Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a pretty powerful ring that kind of slipped under my radar at first, but it's not quite. And I've always kind of kept my eye on it until I eventually got myself a really epic one. And we're going to talk about it today. It's called the Peacemonger's Ring. Now, the Peacemonger's Ring is kind of ridiculous. Let's go over the stats first, and then we're going to talk about why it's ridiculous and also how you can use this to your advantage. So first off, it gives 37.5% fire resistance, and it doesn't give a second resistance stat. Instead, it gives armor value, which is kind of interesting. It also gives 5 to 6% dodge chance. It also has this really interesting stat known as all stats per ferocity or resolve stack, which goes up to 4. We'll talk about that in detail later. And we also have +3 to fueled. It goes up to +2 to fueled, and you get up to +2 to perseverance. Now, fueled is kind of useless, to be perfectly honest, and I really don't think that most people are going to be using fueled. I haven't taken fueled on pretty much any of my characters, and I don't really care about it. It's gain increased life on a kill equal to 20% of your maximum life, while you have at least 4 stacks of ferocity. It doesn't really work very well versus bosses, obviously, because it's on kill, and when you're fighting bosses, this is completely useless to you. It's only really useful to you when you're fighting a bunch of trash mobs and stuff, and I guess then it's okay. But, like, for the most part, you're not really going to, like, put points into it unless you just happen to have some extra ones around. The other one that you get, Perseverance, is actually really useful. And Perseverance gives you a rather massive amount of damage reduction in the form of little tiny bits. As you can see right here with mine, I'm currently at 3.5% additional damage reduction per stack of resolve because I'm at 7 stacks. And it is 0.5% per stack, which means that you are getting, at bare minimum, with this particular ring, like 2 stacks, which is an additional 1% damage reduction per stack. If you have a greater affix version, it goes a lot higher, and we'll talk about that in detail later as well. Now, the special effect on this particular item is while you have at least 4 stacks of ferocity, which is really easy to do, you gain 7 vigor per second. Gaining ferocity also grants you resolve stacks, which means that anytime you gain ferocity, you're also granting resolve, which means that they're both going to be active permanently. The special flavor text on this is in Natsalarwaka, no blood shall mar the earth. Even bitter enemies must forgo their blades before entering the haven. Breaking this accord will invoke Wasi Patsu's wrath, oral Oaxi scripture. So let's dig into the nitty gritty of this item, and we'll talk about how you can use this to your advantage and why it is so powerful.
Mr. Goody Two Shoes, Mr. Goody Two Shoes. Ginger Evil Mentor here. Why bother farming when you can go to MMOEXP.com and simply purchase your items in gold? GGM would have you farm the items. What a pathetic being. Use code GEM Ginger Evil Mentor for 6% off your entire purchase. And don't tell Ginger Gaming Mentor that I was here.
All right, so how this item works is it is based off of stacking resolve, which the higher you stack your resolve and the higher you stack your ferocity, the better that this ring works. And in general, there are multiple multipliers that you can potentially take advantage of for this. First off, there is the multiplier of the Jaguar Mystic Circle, which gives you a pretty huge multiplier. I believe you can get this almost up to like 31%, by the way, if you really, really, really dig into it, per point of ferocity. You can have up to 18 stacks of ferocity, and that gives you a rather large multiplier through that bonus, which means that if you built this properly, you could potentially have a rather large amount of all stats. Now, if you masterwork the ring and you get the all stats to its maximum value, I believe the maximum value is 10. I currently have mine at 9, which is pretty darn good. However, at 10, you would get a rather large amount of all stats per ferocity stack or resolve stack that you could potentially obtain. You can also get your resolve extraordinarily high as well through items like pants by stacking resolve bonuses there, which goes up to, I believe, 13. You can also get 13 on your amulet. You can get 13 on your armor, your helmet, and so forth and so on. You can also grab resolve stacks through the actual character itself, too. So, like, for instance, when you were utilizing your spirit choices. If you're utilizing, say, for instance, Gorilla like I am, with the Loyalties helmet, you're getting an additional 4 from your secondary choice, which is very powerful. This means that you can have a rather large amount of bonuses just by simply stacking Resolve and so forth. Now, if you look at my stats right now, you'll see that I'm at 467 Strength, 445 Intelligence, 314 Willpower, and 1,494 Dexterity. And let's go over to the one that gives us bonus stats as well, so we can amplify this even further. Now, every single stat on our tree is going to give us specific bonuses. Like, for instance, our armor comes from strength. We also get critical strike chance. We get resource generation from intelligence, and we get resistances from intelligence. We also grab our healing received, which is a multiplier through the centipede, and it also gives us some overpower damage, which is, of course, going to help us with our overpower multipliers. And then, of course, we get dexterity, which is our skill, and our dodge chance. Now, if you put the ring on, and you have a decent amount of resolve stacks, and then you go and you generate some ferocity stacks as well, you'll notice that my all stats have increased tremendously. And then we're going to use a core skill here. And you can see that I'm already at 1,052, 1,018, 822, and 2,593 stats. All my stats have risen tremendously from what they were before just a few seconds ago. So if I take off the ring again, you see now I'm back down to 467, 445, 314, and 1494. The ring is giving me a rather dramatic increase in my overall stats because of the number of ferocity and resolve stacks that I currently have, and I'm nowhere near maxed out. In fact, we could potentially multiply this out and find the number for you, because I'm pretty sure the maximum theoretical number of stacks is something like 60 plus 18, which is 78 times 10, which is the maximum that you can get on the ring. Means you're going to get about 780 all stats bonus. And on top of that, if you're utilizing this particular tree, which is the adaptive stances, you get a 50% increase in all of your core stats, which means that you're going to get another 50% bonus, which brings that up to 1,170 essentially to your dexterity, as well as a 780 bonus to all of your other stats, because this one does, I believe, actually I don't even remember if it applies only to the core, to the just your dexterity, or if it applies to everything. Let's take a look. So it applies to everything. So as you can see there, you can get a maximum of 1,170 all stats just by simply utilizing this ring in combination with ferocity stacking, in combination with resolve stacking, and also in combination with the adaptive stances, comes together to form a pretty crazy bonus. And let's take a look and see what we're looking at in terms of bonuses. So we went to 21% critical strike chance from, I think it was like a mere 8, 210 armor bonus. We now have resource generation of 30.6%. We have 20.4% all resistances. We've got a 205.5% overpower bonus, as well as a 61.6% healing bonus. And we went up to 324.1% on our core multiplier, as well as a 15.6% chance on our dodge chance. Taking off the ring and letting our stats fall back to normal, our bases were a mere 9.4% critical strike chance, so we doubled that. 94 armor, so we doubled that. Our resource generation was also doubled. Our resistances were doubled. Our overpower damage was more than doubled. And our healing received was definitely more than doubled. And on top of that, we also got a pretty huge buff to our skill damage and our multiplier. So as you can see, the Peacemonger's ring, especially if you can get a really good version of it, can be extremely powerful. On top of this, we also get the damage reduction, right? So let's think about the damage reduction. So let's not even talk about the min-maxed version, which has the most resolve that you can ever possibly obtain. And let's just talk about my version right now. I'm currently at 18 stacks of resolve, and this is giving me 0.5% per point of perseverance that I'm adding onto my character. So if we have 18 stacks of resolve times, what is that? 0.5, 0.5, right? So that's 1, 0.5, 0.5, that's 2. So we're getting an additional 2% damage reduction per stack on top of the 3 that I put in there originally, which means I'm currently at 3.5% per stack of resolve. So we multiply that and we get a total of 63% damage reduction just for my 18 stacks that I'm currently at. And this character honestly could go miles higher. I could triple masterwork these pants to, instead of giving me 4 stacks of resolve, I could potentially go up to, I think it's 13. I could also triple masterwork my amulet, which is currently not masterworked at all, so that I can get an additional 13 there as well, which means that I'm looking at, what is that, 13 plus 13, which is 26, plus the original 4, which is 30, plus the the maximum resolve of 4 from here, which is 34. So I'm currently looking at a total of 34 times 3.5, which is a 119% damage reduction. Now, this doesn't add directly, so it is kind of important to note that it doesn't add directly, and it does end up being less than 119%, which is kind of hard to calculate, because basically what it's doing is it's adding 3.5% every single time you get a stack. I don't think it's adding cumulatively or additively. I think it's what's called inverse multiplicative or whatever, which is basically where you have like 3.5%, like plus, 3.5%. I think we can actually see it on here. So like if I go to my damage reduction, so all damage reduction, you'll see I'm at 64.2% at the moment. If I pull the ring off, I go down to 48.2%, and that's with my 18 stacks. Because of course all of the damage reductions are being added in a like inverse multiplicative way on top of each other, which eventually adds up to the total value. But even so, the damage reduction that you're going to get from stacking resolve with this particular ring is just amazing. It's kind of just a ring that allows you to take advantage of all of those things that you're doing anyway. So are you stacking resolve to get tons of damage through the colossal glyph, like for instance, like most people are this season? Are you utilizing the colossal glyph that gives 2% damage multiplier per stack? Yeah, you probably are, right? So in this particular case, now you're going to get damage reduction from perseverance and all stats for stacking resolve. Are you utilizing the plains power aspect, which gives you a huge multiplier per stack of ferocity that you have? Well, if you're utilizing that, then now you can also utilize the Peacemonger Signet, which is now going to give you an additional multiplier through this all stats. So now you get more all stats for using your ferocity and stacking that. You can also, of course, get the fueled bonus, which is mediocre, but it's a extremely powerful ring. 100% most definitely. And I think about this one a lot because I feel like there's something here where you could potentially just simply stack all stats to the moon. And what I mean is like you could go for all stats on every single piece of equipment that you could potentially get. Like obviously Loyalty's Mantle has all stats. You can get all stats on various pieces of equipment throughout the game. And by stacking as much all stats as you can, and then utilizing this ring, stacking resolve, stacking ferocity, and utilizing the adaptive stances, you could potentially have like nearly like 3 or 4,000 to all stats with probably like 7 or 8,000 in the specific, like dexterity. On top of this, you can also stack the Headhunter glyph with this. So the Headhunter glyph is actually extremely powerful, and I don't have it on my board right now, but I probably should. But this is the one that allows you to stack your stats even further by basically grabbing every single node within range to get a huge bonus to all of the normal nodes within range. So in this particular case, if you were trying to stack the all stats like this, you would probably throw Headhunter on a board that has a pretty good amount of bonus stats to just about everything. You would then grab every single node on that board because you would want all the stat bonuses that you can get, because then they would be multiplied by something like adaptive stances, which is going to make that go even higher. The crazy thing to think about here, and this is let me actually like write this on the ring just to be really silly. All right. So I'm gonna take a screenshot of this, and we are going to do some very silly paint. We're going to do some very silly paint stuff right now. Are you guys ready? We're going to paint this in. So what did we say the bonus was on our calculator for the all stats? It was a maximum of 78 times 10 plus 50%, which is 1,170, right? So if we wanted to just be absolutely silly, we could just like write in here plus 1,170 all stats. And then we just like make this absolutely ridiculous stand out too. We got to make it stand out, right? So why is it we need to bold it? Yeah, bolden it. Let's bring it up a little bit in terms of size. Here we go. And then let's just put this like right here. Let's make it even bigger. Let's go to 36. And this is what we're looking at in terms of how the character or how the ring is essentially affecting your character. And you could make this, I'm pretty sure you could get this even higher. I think that through various methods, triple masterworking, all sorts of other things, getting your resolve bonuses to their maximum that you could possibly get them, utilizing the Headhunter glyph, maybe focusing specifically on getting more all stats, and then using the adaptive stances. I feel like you could go even crazier with this particular item. And it's important to note, I think, that when it comes to this particular item, we are looking at all of the bonuses that you're getting, right? You're getting crit chance, you're getting armor, you're getting resistances, you're getting resource generation, you're getting healing received, you're getting overpower, you're getting dodge chance, you're getting skill multipliers, right? You're getting 7 different things by stacking all stats. You'll need less resistances on your equipment, which means that you can focus on other stats. You'll need less critical strike chance, which means you can focus on other stats. You'll need less armor, which means you can focus on other stats. And in this way, because it's giving you all of the things that you need from all of the different sources, your gear can then become more focused on dishing out, say, damage, as opposed to worrying about getting your resistances up, or getting your armor up, or getting your overpower damage up, or getting your healing up. And honestly, all of this stuff is really nice. Like, even the dodge chance bonus is actually really nice when you start stacking into it. This particular ring does come from a specific boss, so let's take a look at that real quick. So if you're ever looking for an item, there is a tool on Diablo 4.life. It's our target farming tool right here. And you can click on the Spiritborn, and then you can go to the Peacemonger's ring. There it is right there. And you can see it comes from Grigori, the Galvanic Saint. You're probably going to be at Grigori anyway, farming things like the Ring of the Midnight Sun, Loyalty's Mantle, which all come from the same boss, by the way. You know, you're probably going to find a really nice one of these. As you can clearly see, I got this one. I paid 500 million gold for this one because I really wanted to test out these features, and it's just really nice. I'm not sure if I also highlighted the fact that you also gain resolve as you generate ferocity. So as long as you have any way to generate ferocity, you can pretty much keep your resolve stacks at maximum pretty much all the time, which is also really nice for this particular item. This one is just so beautiful, and I absolutely love this item. I think that's pretty much it for this. Where you find it, we already covered that. How good it is, how all the effects work. I do also believe that the ferocity bonus that you're getting for having at least 4 stacks of ferocity, so you get the 7 vigor, I believe that is also affected by resource generation. So interestingly enough, if you're stacking stats and you get a large amount of resource generation from stacking intelligence through this particular ring, the resource generation is also going to affect the vigor per second that you're getting from the ring, which is going to make it even more powerful. So it does in turn kind of like form an interesting little equation where the ring is essentially feeding into itself to create more vigor, which then, you know, like obviously if you're stacking more resolve and more ferocity, increases the vigor generation further by having that all stat bonus. And it's absolutely crazy how high you can get your stats to. I haven't really min-maxed it. I kind of want to build an entire character literally just around this ring. which is going to be a fun build for sure. And I think it's going to be extremely powerful because once I have, like 4,000 intelligence, won't need resistance equipment anymore. And once I have around 4,000 strength, I won't need armor equipment anymore because my armor is going to be through the moon. And I'll also get like a crazy amount of overpower damage, which may feed into a specific ability. I'll also get a crazy amount of dodge chance as well from this, and skill multipliers from the dexterity. I'm utilizing various pieces of equipment to get as much as I possibly can. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me for this episode of Unique Items. I hope that this has been a fun one for you guys to learn about the Peacemonger's Ring. And as always, be sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button on the way out, and keep watching.